Mark, it was tough, but we got there, said the US ambassador to the UN.
Yes, and I think, look, this is undoubtedly a significant moment. It is not a ceasefire. It is not even a pause, an immediate pause in fighting. But behind that, I think there is movement, and clearly, if America is supporting this, then Israel will, one would assume, be behind it as well. And what it does is hopefully very quickly open up the possibility of getting aid into Gaza much more quickly, because as we have seen over the course of what is it, nearly two months now, aid into Gaza has been happening at a trickle. Just one crossing was open at one point, just Rafah between Gaza and Egypt. Now a second crossing, Kerem Shalom, is open as well. But what this does, and I think the key paragraph within this is where it talks about setting up it talks specifically about setting up a senior humanitarian and reconstruction coordinator with responsibility for facilitating, coordinating and monitoring and verifying the aid that goes into Gaza. As things stand, there is no single command structure, if you like, trying to get aid into Gaza. There's a whole host of different people involved, and Israel is solely responsible, because it wants it that way, for the scanning of all aid that goes through. Now, I think what we will see from this resolution is that process changes, that there is a UN coordinator, an individual who is appointed quickly, the resolution says, and that they will get aid into Gaza much more quickly. And all of this sets up a trust, if you like, out of which a sustainable ceasefire can be implemented. For me, though, Jonathan, one thing really struck me, and I think was the reason why all this is so urgent, and it was something that the United Arab Emirates ambassador said just before the vote. She said, let's be clear, unless we take drastic action now, there will be famine in Gaza. She says people are already starving, and we'll be talking about famine before long. And then the US ambassador, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, after the vote, she said that the word famine is already being used by aid agencies who are operating inside Gaza. That is how desperate this situation is, and it has become so desperate so quickly.
Mark in Washington, thank you very much for that. We've just had a reaction from Lord Cameron, the Foreign Secretary. He has said on social media it is good news that the UN has come together to back a resolution to get more humanitarian aid into Gaza. Well, let's go to Nicole Johnston. She is in Jerusalem for us. Nicole, the resolution calls for creating the conditions for a sustainable cessation of hostilities rather than a suspension of fighting. You've been close to the border with Gaza in the last day or so, and you'll know that there are many people right now in Gaza saying what we need immediately is a ceasefire. That is the only way to stop the serious deterioration of the situation there when it comes to food, aid and people's health.
That's right. Palestinians in Gaza will see this as a symbolic vote, a sign at least that the international community cares enough to try and do something about the deteriorating situation in Gaza. We heard about the importance of border crossing. This vote essentially is about trying to get aid into Gaza. And we were at the Kerem Shalom border crossing. That is the main commercial crossing into Gaza. It has been closed for most of the last 10 weeks of this war. Israel closed it, and making it incredibly difficult to get the water, food and medicine that Gaza desperately needs. In the last few days, Israel has partially opened the crossing, and now a limited number of trucks are getting in, only around 80 a day though. And as we heard during that debate, that is a drop in the ocean compared with the needs of Gaza. They need thousands of trucks right now to try and avert this ever-worsening situation. At the same time, the bombardment from Israel is continuing from the north to the south of Gaza. We've heard about heavy airstrikes in the last 2 days in Jabalia refugee camp in the north, bodies still under the rubble. In Al-Barij camp in the central part of Gaza, hit hard, Khan Yunis and Rafah. So when you speak to people in Gaza, they say that nowhere is safe. And I've been in contact with people on a daily basis for the last 2 months, and I have never heard people in Gaza sound so bereft of hope and so depressed. They say that they feel forgotten and neglected by the international community. They can't believe how long this war has continued, so they are desperate to try and see a change in the situation, to get aid into Gaza. They can't feed their children. They can't find enough water. There is nowhere for them to shelter. They have been corralled into this tiny area of land at the very end of Gaza on the Egyptian border, sent to a wasteland called Al-Mawasi, a sandy, barren strip of land. Now, Israel, for its part, continues to insist that it is doing everything it can to protect the people of Gaza, providing what it says are safe passages and safe areas. But people in Gaza say that nowhere is safe. Israel has also said that it continues to find weapons stores from Hamas, tunnel infrastructure, and that it has killed 2,000 fighters from Hamas. But what it has failed to do so far is take out any of the big leaders in Hamas, like Yahya Sinwar, like Mohammed Deif, and that is what they'll be trying to do as this war continues and shows no sign of letting up at all.
OK, Nicole, in Jerusalem, thank you for that update.